What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. It is your boy MXP, and we have a special video today for you guys. So I am proud to announce that I have been accepted into the Ubisoft partnership program. So I want to thank Ubisoft for providing the code for the game that we're going to talk about today, and that game is the Rogue Prince of Persia. So admittedly, my history with Prince of Persia is a little light. I've been more into like Rayman, Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, and things like that when it comes to Ubisoft, properties. I did have the Prince of Persia game on the Xbox 360 back in 2008, and I actually, the funny thing is, last year I did grab, almost knocked everything over grabbing these, but I did bring by the Sands of Time trilogy. So Sands of Time, Warrior Within, and then the Two Thrones. So I've been interested in trying to get into this franchise, especially last year. When the Lost Crown came out, it was like that 2.5D side scroller, kind of like Metroid Dread type of game. But when I saw I had the opportunity to play this game, I definitely was into it. So this is actually, it's being published by Ubisoft, but it was actually developed by Evil Empire, and Evil Empire is as they describe themselves on their website, they are a triple I studio, which is obviously a play on triple A, being independent, and they've been working on like the Dead Cells DLC and expansions and things like that. And that art style, that style of game, that 2D like 2.5D side scroller is very apparent in this game as well. The game did first release actually back during the summertime, back in August. It's available on PS5, Xbox, and PC, but now the Switch and Switch 2 version is dropping today, December 16th. If you want the physical version, you can wait it out. It will be dropping next year in April. That's when it's slated for. And unfortunately for the physical collectors, if you have a Switch 2, it is a game key card, but you can get the Switch version, which is, regular, fully on the cart, and then you could get a free upgrade up to the Switch 2 version. Now, the overview of the game reads as follows. It says, shape the legend of a prince spared by death whose fatal mistake doomed his people. In this challenging, fast-paced roguelite, every death is a unique chance to rewrite fate, save Persia, or die trying. Dive into a thrilling and epic adventure where every action pulses to the heady rhythm of an intense soundtrack. Master fluid acrobatic and responsive combat paired with challenging parkour. Death after death, forge your own playstyle through exploration and encounters. Perhaps you'll find a way to save the Persian kingdom, an all-new world envisioned by Dead Cells developer Evil Empire. And as the prince, after you fell on the battlefield, you're trying to get back, save your parents, who's obviously, the rulers of the kingdom. And, again, talking about like the story just interweaving and stuff, you're talking with different merchants and things like that along the way, and you grew up around them, you interacted with them, before the attack and everything. And the prince is very motivated, but he's also, you could tell during his dialogue, like he's very scared and is worried about how he's perceived. He's trying to live up to being a prince even though he's technically not ready. And it's kind of like you as the player feel that for him, and you're also him kind of guiding him through the game and hoping that you can help him become the prince that he is destined to be. So as the description said, the game is a roguelite. So for people that are not familiar with rogue and roguelites and roguelikes, what they are basically games that consist of what they're called runs. So start the game, you play through, you collect different items and weapons and things like that, and then you might die. Most likely you will die. You start over and then you go through it again, but now sometimes you'll have permanent upgrades. You'll have just a better idea, lay of the land as far as how bosses fight certain enemies, certain locations and things like that. You just keep trying and trying and trying over and over and getting better and better, and eventually you'll make it all the way to the end. Now, this isn't a review video, this is more of a first impressions. Like I said, I got it over the weekend, and this was the day that the game is releasing on the Switch. So we are talking about the Switch and Switch 2 version. If you do buy the Switch version, you can get a free upgrade for the Switch 2. So I did play it on the Switch 2. I played it docked and in handheld. I played it in dock, just to capture footage and get the experience, capture my gameplay footage, but then I also played it in handheld. Actually, the funny thing is, as I was playing through it, I couldn't get past the first boss. I died to him like 3 times, and then the 4th try, obviously after upgrades and things like that, but I played in handheld and I beat him my first try. So I don't know if you want to say handheld's better, it's all up to you. But for me, when it comes to these like 2D games or like, you know, games that just seem like handheld experiences, I personally like playing in handheld. So some of the cool things about this game from when I was playing it is like the standout, just the art style, the music, like as I'm going through the different locations. And that's like the cool thing about the game. No run is the same. You might pick from the beginning, you pick a different area to start from. And during the loading screen of you going from area to area, you'll see, okay, the little diamond figures, that is you go into an area, and then the squares is going to be a boss fight. So again, I didn't make it to the end. How long to be said, it would take around 9.5 hours. I'm assuming that is considering how many times you're going to die over and over again. So the game's not super long, but just going through the areas, no run is the same. The enemies change. Sometimes I started noticing like stronger enemies on later runs I was going through. There are these checkpoints as you go through, so you'll be able to, you know, fast travel back earlier in the level if you might miss something, or maybe you get to a dead end, or maybe there's like a weapon but you didn't decide to take it, or some health and it didn't make sense for you to take the health at first, so you left it there. And yeah, that's basically the gameplay loop. Like you're just going through. There's really cool parkour, different things. You know, Ubisoft, I think, has done a really good job historically when it comes to, you know, parkour, platforming, and things like that with Prince of Persia, Assassin's Creed, as I mentioned, and things like that. Even Rayman Legends, not so much parkour, but the platforming aspects and stuff like that from the Rayman games, especially the 2D games. And one of the biggest and best features of the game is just, you know, I spoke about each run being different. These medallions and weapons and things like that. There's over 100 to get in the game, so you can get, you know, there's axes, royal swords, twin daggers, like this. There's like this flame lantern hammer thing that I had that I was playing around with, and there's each weapon has its own, not just, you know, DPS, so how much damage you're going to do per second, but some have really cool charge attacks and then different critical attacks. Some you actually activate their critical hit from vaulting off of an enemy's head and then attacking them. There's also a bunch of different tools you could have. After I beat the first boss, I was able to use kind of like, if you want to think Devil May Cry style, like you beat the boss or God of War, and then you'll be able to get a tool that is based on that boss's attacks, which I thought was really cool. And then the medallions, of course, which are going to bring a whole different play style, and you really get to mix and match every time you run through. Like I said, no run is the same. You'll be able to see what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what's more advantageous as you play through it. Like, it just really makes the game like addictive. Like you just want to hop right back in even after you die. The one run, you might just be like, okay, I'm not really going to fight a bunch of enemies, I'm gonna just go through fast. So you might want to get a loadout with some like quick hitting items. If you get some medallions that'll have your speed or like your agility and things like that, like it's really up to you how you want to play the game. And with that, like with how I said the enemies are different, everything, a lot of things are different. You might find these little secret entrances that you go through, and you'll be able to basically like roll a dice and say, okay, these are the weapons that they're offering. You may not like it, roll the dice, get some more. You'll find different like shrines and things like that to offer up some of your health, to get different medallions and tools and things like that. So again, the game is just like ever changing. It's not just the run itself, it's as you're going through the run, you can basically switch on the fly how the run is going to be for you. And I think that's just really good, because a lot of times you might play through a game and it gets like it could get really stale really fast. So now if you're playing the same thing over and over and over again, you hope that there are different upgrades and things like that to go through. And speaking of upgrades, there are these things called soul cinders that you can find. So back when I said, depending, you can kind of like skip through enemies if you want to. Sometimes you want to fight enemies too, sometimes, because they'll drop things called soul cinders, or you can find soul cinders around the level. And what those do is you can find like a bank sometimes at the beginning of a level, and it'll send the soul cinders back to the base camp, and then you can use those to then upgrade your weapons or medallions, make things stronger and better when you go on future runs. And that's kind of how you'll be able to navigate and get further every time, because if you kind of go and approach the run the same way every time, it may not work. But the soul cinders, yeah, they're worth it. Like when you're fighting enemies, they might drop that. They might drop gold coins where you can then buy new weapons. And in addition to those permanent upgrades, there's also a skill tree you can upgrade, so you can have, you know, more base health, which is going to be super duper important going through these runs. Just having more base health off the beginning, because there aren't that many opportunities to heal yourself during the run, so that's important. Or you find a character that now has like an achievement list. Basically, like if you play Hollow Knight, it will show you the same thing, like you defeat a certain amount of enemies, but with this you actually get rewarded for it. You'll get more experience points, skill points, you'll get soul senders, you'll get all these kind of like loot basically just for running through the game, and you'll naturally, as you're fighting and you're playing it, just get these achievements and objectives and get the loot, you know, automatically essentially. And what I like about it being a roguelike is not that it's just like, oh, you're just dying over and over again. Like there's actual story elements to it. Like it makes sense in the canon of the game. You meet the Huns on the battlefield, you end up dying by someone using this dark magic, and then you start seeing that through other levels. I got to this tower of isolation, and you see like this bramble and like dark thorny magic and stuff like that is spreading throughout the level, and it's actually making its way down to some of the earlier levels. So you start seeing these things as you're going through the game and through the runs, and it's not just a mindless thing. Like there's a story here, and it kind of all pieces together. Some of the characters I found actually used to be in the Huns camp, so you know, you get that dialogue and that you know, sense of they're not fighting on that team anymore, they're over here willing to help you out. And it's really cool. Just, you know, games do this all the time where you just find characters and then they come join you, and then you can have them at your home base and then be able to utilize them in different ways. And while I haven't been to every single area yet, I do like the uniqueness of the level. So not just how I said the enemies or the layout, but even the vibe, the music, the soundtrack, they did a really good job. I mean, just listen to each one of these different areas and how the soundtrack sounds. Like everything just flows so well with this game, from the art style, the music, the acrobatics and the parkour, like the wall running, hopping across this side to that side, charging up your meter from to increase your speed after doing the parkour and acrobatics. Like nothing nothing is without a purpose in the game. Everything kind of like lends itself to another piece of it to keep it going. And you know, I'm going to do my best. I've never finished a roguelike. I got really close to finishing Hades. What was that, 2 years ago? Hades 1. Couldn't beat that final boss, but hopefully, you know, with this game I'll be able to do so. Again, Ubisoft, really appreciate the code and working together with you guys to bring some light to this game. So if you guys are interested, like I said, it is out today on the Switch and Switch 2. It's also available on other platforms if you want to physically, hopefully slated for next year in April if you want to get it physically on the Switch or Switch 2, free upgrade to Switch 2. And the game's only 30 bucks. Listen, I didn't even mention the price. That's how much I wasn't even thinking about it, because the game is really good. But yeah, 30 bucks for the game. Listen, Prince of Persia has been on a bit of a hot streak recently. Hopefully we get that Sands of Time remake sometime in the near future. So those are my, you know, brief impressions on the game. Like I said, only had it for a couple days so far, but I do plan to hopefully get to the end of it. You know, just keep getting better and better each run, getting better, upgrading weapons and everything like that. And hey, as you're watching this, I'm probably going to be streaming it probably later tonight, either on TikTok, YouTube, or both. Definitely going to be posting different highlights, different clips, different gameplay clips. I'm really mad I missed me beating the boss for the first time, because I was like really hyped being that first boss, but you got to fight him multiple times as you go through the game, so I'll be able to upload that anyway. But again, Ubisoft, appreciate it. You guys like Ubisoft content, Ubisoft games, I should have more of that on the way, as long as, you know, I'm still working with them. As long as I'm working with them, I'm going to try my best to cover as much of their games as I possibly can, give y'all, you know, enough content on that, just so you know what's going on and what's what and who's who. But I appreciate you guys checking out this video. Definitely check out the game. Check out all the links in my description. Appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.